I started off talking about the depth of the Carolina Hurricanes and going into their game against Anaheim tonight. I think that's one of the stories of the early part of the season. And it's fantastic. Right? Let's not overcomplicate it. Your team playing well top to bottom, having scoring chances from all four lines, having blue liners that are taking care of their business, on their main job on the defensive side, and then also contributing to goal production. Like there's a lot of good there. There is one conversation though that I think could be a little awkward. All right, so let's just acknowledge that we're all friends here. I think you're when you're with your closest friends is when you can have the awkward conversations, and they're not awkward. So we're close. Of all the roles, and we Dennis and I were just talking off air about Eric Robinson's role, right? Maybe his role is growing. Showed up looking to be a glue guy, he's good size, good skater. Maybe there's more goal scoring there. Who knows? Started hot. Somebody like Logan Stankoven. We talked with Eric Tulsky, the general manager. We talked to him before opening day out there on the plaza. And I asked him, I said, was it always the plan to give Logan Stankoven a chance at center? And he was like, well, we thought he could. It wasn't necessary. We weren't thinking like, hey, this time next year he's going to be playing a different position. But it was, his role could be changing a little bit, right, from what it was last year to this year. Obviously, it is changing from what it was last year to this year. So what's Jesperi Kotkaniemi's role on this team? What is Jesperi Kotkaniemi's role on this team? It's a complicated question, right? First of all, his role is in the most basic form. Forward, making $4.8 million a year. Center, making $4.8 million a year. Young player who's been a part of the group growing together over the last however many handful of seasons, and that's what he is. I've said this from the very beginning, despite the fact that I've been painted at times as like a big Kotkaniemi hater. I like him as their fourth-line center. Like, very much so. And I think he can grow, and if he sticks around and there's not any kind of movement, I think he's a potential replacement for Jordan Staal as a checking line. I think his size is underrated, and I think in that role you won't expect or be as disappointed if he doesn't score a ton.
And he can play a physical style.
Absolutely.
We've seen it.
Tough dude. I actually give him, the best or the most recent example, he took like the business end of a stick to the face right before the season, and he's like, give me a tinted visor, I'll play. Like that he's a tough dude. But here's my question, right? What is his role? Because right now, he was active for the first two games. I think he played more noticeably good, in a positive way in the first game. Second game, I wouldn't say he played bad, but I just didn't notice him as much, which, is what it is. And then the third game, he was healthy and active as Mark Jankowski got his first run of the season. So he was, watching from the booth. I think, and I'm not calling for a trade, but I'm just illustrating a situation where a trade might be plausible. If you see him as a fourth-line center most nights and an occasional healthy scratch to give someone else a chance to stay in rhythm, I'm fine with that. If the league sees him as something more than that, could it be seen as ignoring an opportunity to not let them pay the price for what they think he is when you maybe don't? Isn't that part of what roster management is? Finding a player who you think is worth 6 out of 10, that the league thinks is worth 8 out of 10, and making that 2 out of 10 profit in the return. Isn't that part of roster management? Did anyone notice? And if you did, I'm fine to it. I'm open to it. But did anyone really notice his absence with Mark Jankowski in there in the third game? Because, other than just being aware, like, the lines came out this morning, and he's a healthy scratch, which, by the way, we don't know who's skating today. They haven't skated it. They're not having a morning skate, so, we won't get those lines till later. But game 3, other than, look, Kotkaniemi's not going to be out there being like a reaction, so you're generally aware of it, I don't think I would have noticed. So what do you do? And the other side is if you're going to trade for something truly valuable, trade for a player who's making a good amount of money, $4.8 million it becomes perhaps a crucial part of it. Clearing up cap space and also giving them a forward that they can skate. It has, I want to be clear, right? Because, like I said, I think there's a role for Kotkaniemi that he can play very well for the Carolina Hurricanes. Mm-hmm. And I think him as a fourth-line center, he becomes one of the best fourth-line centers in the league. I think there's talent there. But I also want to point this out. You don't get anything in return for a trade when you're trading something with no value, right? Like last year, there were a few times where I thought they should explore an Andrei Svechnikov trade. That's because I thought they wanted to get something really good back, and other teams aren't in the interest of giving you something really good back in exchange for your spare parts and broken players. You have to give something that they will see as valuable, or else you're not going to get anything that they see as valuable in return. So Kotkaniemi, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, there's value there. Now, it might be him plus to get something of tremendous value, but, we were doing some, I forget what we were looking for. We were on Facebook Marketplace as a family. We were looking for something recently. There's a lot of stuff on there that I'm just like, if I wanted a broken lawnmower that I'd have to spend $100 to fix, I wouldn't buy it for $250 from you on Facebook Marketplace. Meanwhile, if there's a lawnmower that works and you're selling it for $50, all right, now we can talk, right? Like, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Jesperi Kotkaniemi's not a broken lawnmower. He can cut grass, right? He can do something of value for you. And then this all returns back, talking about roles changing, to Logan Stankoven. How's he doing at second-line center? I think he's doing pretty well through 3 games. If you're comfortable with that there, that clears up other things that you can do, right? If you're not comfortable with him at center, if you still want a 100% option of moving him back to wing, then you got to keep a couple extra centers on the roster because you're going to need somebody to move up or somebody to step in and all those things. So I'm not saying anything now, but I've talked about it. I'm going to continue to talk about it. This first month for the Canes is kind of just information gathering, right? Just what can we learn? Well, what can we learn about Jesperi Kotkaniemi's role that, almost immediately, without any significant injuries to the forwards, he's already a healthy scratch in Game 3? That probably tells you something about what the Canes see as his role. That's not what just smack the microphone. That's not what I think of his role. That's what they think. That's an action. That's them showing us. If the rest of the league thinks there's more there, actually, I don't even want to say the rest of the league. There's a team or two that think there's more there. Down the line, I think you make that decision. Not now, or that inquiry, which, by the way, we also talked with Eric Tulsky about this before opening night. He's talking to every GM in the league every couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
He's calling them every couple of days, and the what they call it, Behind the Storm, their YouTube behind-the-scenes show that just came out, first episode. Only complaint I have is it was like 11 minutes, and I think you get a half hour at each of those episodes. There's more I want to see. But they had some of the behind-the-scenes of the Keandre Miller trade, and you kind of got the vibe. He was just on the phone calling, hey, so what's going on with Keandre, right? Like, just that's how he operates. He's trying to get information. Maybe on those calls you go, so what do you think about Kotkaniemi? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Find out what the value is.
One thing as well we know Mark Jankowski, by the way, can kill penalties. That's something that he has done and can do. We actually started seeing a little bit of Kotkaniemi killing penalties this preseason and being a penalty killer, at least in the first couple of games. So we've seen that a little bit. Something that he hasn't really done yet in his career, which is, hey, the more you can do, the better. It's a good thing. Because I still think that the Canes need to have that depth throughout the lineup to fill that role as well. You can't just ask Stahl, Martinook, Aho, and Jarvis to be all the, then, all right, Eric Robinson, you kind of filter in there every once in a while too. You need to have at least 6 guys that you can trust that can go out there and kill penalties. So that's something that also needs to be taken into consideration as well, is that, well, if Robinson, knock on wood, goes down during a game or something like that, you need to have someone that can step in and help in that regard too.
I want to be clear here. If they don't want to trade Kotkaniemi,
that's fine.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I am good keeping him.
You don't have to.
But if you see value there, I would explore it. If you see value. Because if he's already a healthy scratch, obviously you feel like you can play and win games, perhaps without his contributions. That's all I'm saying. Because I was surprised he was a healthy scratch that early, and maybe it does. After I gave him all his flowers for being tough, he is still wearing the tinted visor, and maybe they just thought like, hey, he's been through some physical stuff here. Let's give him a break. Let me ask you this though, Dennis, just since you added in that he's been killing penalties and stuff. Obviously, I played college football. Football is my first love, whatever you want to call it. When I randomly see a backup quarterback, particularly a third string quarterback, somebody that's like not in your obvious plans, running the ball a lot in the preseason, I go, I wonder if they're trying to trade this guy. They're trying to show everything he can do, and then they're calling someone else up and going like, so I got a running quarterback that would be perfect for your backup. Like if Kotkaniemi all of a sudden he's killing penalties and he's out there doing a whole bunch of stuff he's not normally doing, there could be a little bit of that. But that's me reading tea leaves, and I'm always connecting dots, maybe sometimes too far away. So don't
maybe,
but it's not a 0% chance. I'll tell you that much.